Welcome to a Community Partners interview, where we explore the organizations, opportunities, and resources that look to make change in our daily lives. I'm your host, Nafisah Anif, and you're listening to Voices for Ability Radio, all abilities, all the time. Today I'm joined by Marciane, the Executive Director of Learning Disabilities Association of Wellington County. The Learning Disabilities Association of Wellington County, also known as LDAWC, started in 1973. They are a charitable, nonprofit organization dedicated to improving the lives of children, youth, and adults with learning disabilities so that they can reach their full potential. The association continues to be a grassroots organization that relies on volunteers to carry out its many functions. The association does not have a permanent office. Thank you for joining us today, Marciane.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Tell us a little more about yourself and what inspired you to work at the Learning Disabilities Association of Wellington County. Why work with individuals with disabilities?
Absolutely. So I came to Guelph back in 2021 to actually do my master's in nutrition. And prior to that, I had worked in the medical field as a medical assistant for a number of years. And just being a student for as long as I had my own learning challenges with processing, especially when it had to do with reading. And so myself having a lot of experience with accommodations and just special education, throughout my journey academically and professionally, I always found myself in that community of people with different learning challenges or disabilities. And personally, from especially working in the medical field, I loved being able to help and understand their individual stories and see what interventions or supports can happen so that we can really help them reach their full potential. So when this job came about, actually our board of director president, Dr. John McNamara, reached out to find a master's student who had helped vulnerable populations. And that's what I did in my master's research. So after speaking with him, we just very much clicked and realized that this is an opportunity that I would love to do. So that's how it came about. And since then, I've had so much fun, leading this organization.
Oh, perfect. And can you tell us a little about what a learning disability is?
Absolutely. So a learning disability can affect how a person takes in, processes, and works with information. It usually comes up in terms of like reading, writing, or math, and can make those things harder for our students. It can also impact things like focus, organization, or social skills. So with the right supports and strategies, students can thrive. Now, it is different from something like an intellectual disability, which is a bit more broad and can affect general learning as well as everyday processes and problem solving. And those kind of things often require more ongoing support throughout many areas of life, including communication and daily routines. So while someone can have both diagnoses, our programs are specifically for those with learning disabilities, as our population can be overlooked at times. And we really don't want, any more students falling through the cracks, especially as those with learning disabilities tend to be the largest group in special education, with over 40% of our Ontario students identifying as having a learning disability.
Wow, I didn't think the number was that high.
Yeah. It's high and sadly growing, from a lot of different factors. But yeah, we definitely want to be there to support in any way that we can.
For sure. Can you tell us a little about your programs that you have to offer?
Absolutely. So we have 4 core programs that we offer. We took a break in the summer, but these programs will come back in the fall. And they're all 8-week programs. And we're going to be looking into not only only providing them in person like we usually do, but also giving some online options so that we can reach more people. So our programs include Reading Rocks, which is a structured one-on-one tutoring program to help students who need reading support. So students between the age of 6 through 12 are matched with a tutor, where every session, and sessions are twice a week for an hour. Every session they work with their tutors on goals, they play fun games, and they focus specifically on phonics, fluency, and sight words, as well as our executive skills program are for our kids aged 10 through 16 to support them. They're specifically geared towards kids with ADHD, so it helps with different executive functioning skills like time management, planning, organization, and self-regulation. And then our social skills program are for those age 8 through 12, and those help our kids build interpersonal and emotional regulation skills, as well as, self-advocacy and how to make friends and even understand things like those social cues or kind of unspoken rules in social interaction. And then finally, our SOAR program helps prepare our new ninth graders transition into secondary school, because we all know that can be a hard transition, so we really just want to support them with different skills, whether it's school skills to help with their homework, to help with coping strategies, or with self-advocacy, or even like social skills, and even IEP navigation as they're getting a bit more, older. So we just want to help them understand all these things so that they can really take more responsibility and kind of ownership over their learning and what accommodations they might need.
That's amazing. In terms of volunteers running any of the programs, especially the one involving reading for these 6 to 12-year-olds, is training for the volunteers provided?
Absolutely. We provide them with all the training and also all the materials that they would need. So they just need to come with themselves. And we have an application process. So a lot of our volunteers come from the local secondary schools, and a lot also come from the University of Guelph, as well as Conestoga. So what we do is about 2 weeks before the program starts, we have training sessions where we go through, what is Reading Rocks? What does a session look like? What are certain challenges that may come up? Different things like that. And even before the training, we provide them with videos and a whole manual so that they can come prepared to the training with any specific questions that they might have. And on top of the volunteers, we have paid facilitators. So at every site, there's a paid facilitator there who most of our facilitators have either been through Reading Rocks themselves, so they know what it's like from being children participating in that program. And then all of them have also been volunteers, so they understand what that is like. So in that session, if the volunteers need extra support or if they have any questions, they can just go to their facilitators who can help support them right then and there.
Wonderful. Okay. And I saw on your website that you have some LDAWC resources. Can you tell us a little more about some of those resources?
Absolutely. So we have a very comprehensive resource bank, which, it starts with our own resources that have more information about what a learning disability is, as well as some specific information about IEPs, about reading, writing, and math disabilities, or our kids who might need extra support in those areas, what that is, and also what assistive devices there are, and then also that transition into secondary and also post-secondary education resources. We also have specific resources for educators as well as parents and caregivers, and then specifically ADHD and dyslexia resources, as those tend to be the most common disabilities that we see in our students, as well as for kids and teens and those going into post-secondary. We have a bunch of resources as well, including like what are other programs around that might help, and also if you're going to different universities, what are the links to their special education or resource websites as well. So that's what we have in our resource bank, and we're constantly going over it and adding new things as needed.
Okay, great. Can you tell us about the Give a Gift and the Create Your Own fundraiser?
Absolutely. So the Create a Gift is really something that we created so that if individuals want to give a one-time gift, it's easy and they can, or if they want to give reoccurring gifts, they can as well. It's really easy to navigate and go to our website. You can either press the donate button or the get involved, as well as the Create Your Own fundraiser. This is something that we would love to collaborate with individuals in the community with. If you feel like you want to create something like a car wash or a bake sale or a dance-a-thon or a gift wrap station, you can email me at info@ldawc.ca and we can see if there's any ways that we can support you, like sending you our logo or sending volunteers or facilitators there, so that if individuals have questions about where's my money going to, what does this organization do, X, Y, and Z, we can be there to help. These are just extra opportunities for those in the community who see our work and want to support it. We want to make it as easy as possible for them to do so.
That's amazing. When it comes to assigning supports and resources, what is the process for determining what supports or resources are required?
Absolutely. Good question. The process is really to email me, and then we can sit down and talk through what are the needs there, what needs extra support, what are the strengths of the student, as well as some things that they can improve upon. Something that we believe in and really want to continue to do is to have personalized support for everyone. We have a wealth of knowledge on what a learning disability could look like, what it could entail, but it really is different for every single person. And we want to make sure that we are going to be giving recommendations that are applicable for that person. So it really looks like having a sit-down conversation. Usually they're over Zoom, where we really get to know the parents, the student, the caregiver, and go through what are things that we can offer, as well as if it's something that's beyond our scope, what are some possible resources out there in the community that they can explore as well.
Okay, thank you. Are there any restrictions to becoming a member of the Learning Disabilities Association of Wellington County, such as like age, caregivers, or family members, things of that nature?
No restrictions. Again, we really want to be there for those who need extra learning support. The biggest thing is right now we don't have like a membership going on, or we used to have memberships. We don't have that anymore. Right now we're just trying to focus on delivering our programming and resources to those who need it most. And the best way to keep up to date with us is to stay up to date with our emails. So you can sign up very easily by scrolling all the way down on our homepage and signing up for our email alerts. And it's really open to anyone. Like I said, specifically our programs are for those in specific ages, but we've had a number of conversations with families and caregivers where, like I said, we'll give resources to other organizations or programs that might be a better fit. And also we love to take feedback. So there are different programs that are currently being created that have been birthed through those conversations. So as we continue to grow and expand, we definitely want to give more supports, like to our older kids who are not only going to secondary school, but who are going to post-secondary, and possibly having some adult supports or support for individuals who English isn't their first language, math supports, things like that. So it's just, as a grassroots organization, we're a bit small right now, but we're working on expanding and growing so that we can help more individuals.
Okay, that's wonderful. And without using any names, can you share a success story with me? What supports were put in place when someone asked for help?
Oh, absolutely. That's hard. Just one.
You could share a couple.
The first one that comes to mind is with our reading program. We have a lot of return families, and it's because it really does work. Some of the stats that we have are over 75% of parents reported improvement in their child's reading and confidence, and also 85% were satisfied with the program and really appreciated how personal it is and how engaged and motivated their child was during sessions. So one story was, a child was really struggling. I believe they were about 2 to 3 years behind in their reading skills, and it was manifesting in different things. When you feel behind from your peers, there's a lot of frustration that can come with that. Sometimes they can manifest as behavioral issues, or secluding yourself, heightened anxiety, heightened depression, things like that. So we were seeing that in this student, and over weeks of them coming in, timid, kind of disengaged, and just discouraged and defeated, within 2 to 3 weeks, they were excited to come to Reading Rock sessions. They were actually picking up a book and reading. Their parent was like, this child went from not even wanting anything to do with the book, you think they were allergic to it, to now they're reading a chapter a day, and they're excited about reading, they're excited about learning, and they finally feel like good about themselves, because you have to think these children go to school and are reminded all the time how, quote unquote, behind they are, and to have a volunteer cheer you on every single day. We use a lot of stickers, a lot of positive reinforcement, and really work on their learning at a pace for them, and that's personalized to them. You just see their self-esteem and the light come back in their eyes, and it's amazing to see. And then someone else also mentioned how the help for our SOAR program, it was a child who was very nervous about going into secondary school, which is understandable. I think there's a lot of stories or movies that can depict, secondary school in a certain way, and there was a lot of fear there. But after going through our program, they felt like, wow, now I know how to advocate for myself. I didn't know that these resources even existed for me. I also feel like my teachers listen because I've grown in my confidence, and they just felt like the different challenges that may arise, they have the tools to really, take them on. And so it's stories like that just fill my heart. And then, of course, the parent and caregiver comes, and they're just so happy to have their child, smiling again, the light in their eyes, and their child just feel like, wow, this doesn't have to limit me, just because I have a learning disability, there's still ways to thrive and achieve my goals.
The most inspiring stories, and should I say, result in the best reward, which for me is just lighting up a child's world.
Yes, absolutely.
And just, increasing that child's confidence, not only in themselves, but in their abilities, in what they're able to do, in knowing their strengths, and even acknowledging, okay, here, this is what I need help with. This is where I can improve. And then just seeing them grow, not just physically, but emotionally and in every other way. It is the most amazing reward that you can ever get from the work that you do.
Absolutely. It keeps us going. It really does.
For sure. It sure does. Now, what is the one thing that you see happening over and over again to individuals with disabilities that shouldn't be? And how do we stop it?
Oh, wow. There's so many things. I think just there seems to be a great lack of empathy that I can see happen so much, and then it manifests in just being, mean or impatient or dismissive, or judgmental to those with disabilities. And I think what needs to happen is a lot more time spent listening to those with different disabilities, so that you can really understand what they go through on a day-to-day basis, and maybe even see them more as human, for lack of a better term. Like, this person has to go through all the things, I might have to think about or go through in the day, on top of, maybe different struggles that they go through because of their specific disability. I can only imagine if more people really understood what someone might have to go through on a day-to-day, there'd be a lot more empathy. There'd be a lot more understanding and acceptance, and not seeing someone and thinking automatically automatically, oh, they can't do something because they have a disability. No, they can do a lot of things. And we need to stop focusing on what someone can't do or what might be more challenging and focus on what they can do, which is a lot more than what they can. And then even ways to support them and maybe what they need more help with. So at the end of the day, I think there's just a lot more listening that needs to happen. And we've even seen that going into different community events and talking to people who, might not even have a child or who has a learning disability, but they just come at our tables and they want to learn more. And they walk away like, wow, I didn't know this, or I didn't understand this aspect of a learning disability, XYZ. This helps me understand, so much more what this child might be going through, and they're with their own child, and I can imagine that conversation was probably helpful. Maybe they'll see their classmate or friend in a different light, and so that's why we keep doing what we do, because we just think there needs to be more conversations, and hopefully with that more empathy and acceptance.
That is very inspiring, focusing on the strengths, focusing on moving forward, acknowledging what someone with a disability is able to do versus what they may have the challenges with, what they may have difficulties, they may need help. And that's a problem too many times, that others see individuals with disabilities as sometimes people who always need help in some way, shape, or form, versus how can they help in return? And that what you said, it really resonated with me. Are there any events coming up for the Learning Disabilities Association of Wellington County?
We do. We're working on a summer workshop right now, which will most likely take place in August. We're still finalizing the details, so keep up to date on our social media and our website. But basically, it's a workshop where we want to talk about how learning disabilities intersect with different things like race, socioeconomic status, sexuality, things like that, and how that can impact the life of someone with a learning disability, and how we can help support. So we really, those conversations sometimes can be uncomfortable, but we don't want them to be. We want us to acknowledge all the different things that can impact a person, and the possible challenges they face and how we can support. As well as in November, it's going to be Saturday, November 15th, we have our annual family conference, and this year's theme is Understanding and Thriving Mental Health and Learning Disabilities. And we have a lineup of some amazing speakers who will be talking about EDI, inclusivity, children's mental health, family mental health, and how we can support those things, as well as our usual topics such as what is an IEP and how to navigate the school system, and local supports and school system supports.
Perfect. Okay. And if someone wanted to become a member or volunteer with LWAC, what's the process for becoming a member, and what's the process for becoming a volunteer?
Absolutely. So if you want to become a volunteer for any of our programs, if you go to our website, at the top, there's a link that is titled Get Involved, and that will lead you to more information about each of our programs, and there's also an application there. So if you put in an application, we'll be able to, see your skills and contact you and talk a bit more about the program and see if you're a good fit. And we would love volunteers. All of our volunteers must be at least 16 years old or older. And then if you want to volunteer for anything outside of our programs, like, when we have fundraising events or outreach events, things like that, email me at info@ldawc.ca, and we'll see what opportunities we have for you to help.
Okay, perfect. And in terms of becoming a member, is there a process for that?
No process at the moment, as we're not doing memberships right now. We're just, again, trying to expand our organization and really focusing on getting more staff and expanding our programs. And I think once we have a stronger base there, then we'll start re-implementing our memberships.
Wow, amazing. Well, we are out of time, Marciane. Thank you so much for speaking with us today. And this concludes another Community Partners interview. I'm your host, Nafisah Anif. Let's care, let's share, because We've all been there.